Oh no, he's good. Okay. Shoo. Good morning, you guys. Welcome to Lessons Learned. We're going to give everybody a few minutes to get here. And once we have both guests, we're going to go ahead and we'll do the introduction, or at least one of the two, I hope. Thank you so much. I do want to thank you guys in advance for the gifts and for the favorites. You guys know once I get started, I can't pay too much attention to those, which is really hard. Good morning, Miss Pumpkin. Okay. I'm sure he'll be here. That's why I put him second, figuring the time difference. Thank you for the sun. Welcome, everybody. Hello, Chad. Thank you, Boob. Hi, Camilla. How is everybody? Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you, Scantron. T, hello. Holy cow. Princess, good morning. Hello, hello. Yes, sir, and Nas. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Lessons Learned, you guys. I'm Silly Lily, and we have an absolutely amazing show today. Like, I am excited. Hi, Crow. Like, ooh, I'm so excited, you guys. We have Wavy Spice, and she's on to talk about boundaries, and that is one of my favorite things to talk about because I am just learning to set them myself. Then we have Chris Casper. Whew, and I'm just gonna let that be all a surprise. Krabby, congrats on the top badge, my dear. Hello. Cool dude. Hi. Hi, everybody. A little bit. Hello. Good morning. Welcome to Lessons Learned. I am waiting for one of my two. I know. That's what I said. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Okay. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Oh my God, you guys. Welcome to Lessons Learned, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Chris Casper coming in with the tacos. Good morning, darling. All right. So we're just waiting for Wavy. We are just waiting for Wavy. You guys, again, I just want to make sure I thank all of you for the gifts and favorites in advance. All right, Jay, are you ready? I'm going to go ahead and have you hop in and hopefully, okay. All right, guys, this is Emoji J. He's my admin. If you are interested in being on this show, please reach out to him on Instagram. He will put his information down below. Please add him, add myself. If you click on my name up top, you can do that by scrolling down, clicking on the IG icon, and medium. Thank you, Scan. We are black screened on my end, Jay. Hi guys. So as he's doing the Q and Q, I'm realizing that I think my grandson may have gotten that one because I don't see it there, Jay. Will you send that to me on IG so I can read it? Just can you do that? Do you have that ability? Of course. Hold on. I'm checking really quick through here. Oh my God, kids, right? But that's what I get, I guess, right? I just go ahead and do that. I'm going to do the introduction, Jay. If you could just send it to me on IG really fast, that would be awesome. And I don't have to waste the time and we can keep moving. So first and foremost, you guys, have we heard from Wavy? Accept and understand. But I will be here. Have we heard from Wavy? I'm not sure we've heard from Wavy yet. All right, so we'll do the question last. It says, does anybody know Wavy Spice and how to get a hold of her? You messaged her. Okay. Thank you, Jay. All right. So you guys, welcome to Lessons Learned. My name is Silly Lilly. And sorry, we're a little off. My first guest is still not here. So I apologize for that. But we're going to figure it out. We always do, right? And I know Chris, Casper, and I can both talk a lot. So worst case, don't snap this, right? To a local professional, local therapist, whatever it is, that a counselor. And please don't be afraid to do that. We're simply going to talk about a lesson that life has taught us, how we were able to get through it, how we were able to push through it and stay on top and keep ourselves moving forward, right? And like I said, we will do some self-care, self-love, self-care questions, self-care tips, kind of because I don't feel like a lot of people do enough of that. Some people argue that, and that's okay. All right, you guys. So as you can see at the beginning, we end every show with the Q&Q. That is a question and a quote. And I love doing this because it gives you guys the entire week to think about a good response. Now, there's not always a whole lot of you guys that are here to answer, but I read last week, it says, the future is called perhaps, which is the only possible thing to call the future. And the important thing is not to allow that to scare you. Let me read this one more time, okay? The future is called perhaps, which is the only possible thing to call the future. And the important thing is not to allow that to scare you, okay? What one thing about the future scares you? What one thing about the future scares you? The uncertainty, yeah. That's definitely a good one, Rey Mustachio. T, not knowing what can happen. NorCal says the unknown. Kim says the unknown. So, more or less, for me, I'm scared that I'm going to let my fears cause me to miss out on doing some of my like biggest dreams. I'm conquering this. I'm working on it. You know, one of the big things is I really would love to get like an actual podcast going, you know, where I'm not restricted per se on topics and stuff, and I can have, like, I thought my daughter and I can get into some pretty good debatable conversations. So I thought, man, wouldn't it be great, hi Smurvy, to be able to get a parent-child's view on some things, you know? Anyway, so that's my dream, and I'm not going to let my fear of not being successful at it stop me from trying, because I've been doing that for like 6 months now, and we're going to get on it, right? So I just read, okay, it says, the future is called perhaps, which is the only possible thing to call the future. And the important thing is not to allow that to scare you, okay? What one thing about the future scares you? I don't want, like I said, mine, I don't want to miss out. I'm afraid that I'm going to let my fears control me so much that I'm not going to put myself out to experience new and fun things. And then, like, I gave the example of the podcast for being one, you know. If you guys are just tuning in, oh, hi Wavy, I'll give you a few second heads up before I put you in the box, okay? You guys, Wavy Spice, I met her a couple weeks ago. She has a good soul. She was in a guest box and talking on a show, the Tandem Talent. and she's here to talk about boundaries. And you guys know that in my life, I'm learning to set boundaries myself. I have struggled with this, Wavy. So we had I don't know if you know who Sunny is. She came in and talked about boundaries, and man, she opened my eyes, and she is the reason that I was able to set and stick to some boundaries with my son for the first time in 21 years. And it was really hard, but listening to her and how it helped her, and how even though at first it's hard, it gets better and all that stuff. Y'all, setting boundaries with people has been the most amazing thing that I've done for myself to date, except maybe like, going to get a massage. Those are great too. But seriously, Wavy, are you ready? Because I'm going to let you in. We're going to get going on this. Are you ready? Okay. All right, you guys, please, 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 everybody, favorite Wavy Spice. I'm going to make you red really quick before I let you in the box, just to make sure we have absolutely no issues while you're in the box. All right, here we go. I'm going to accept you now. Here we go. Black Moses, you are welcome to join on stream another day. But right now, this is Wavy Spice and Chris's show. How are you, gorgeous?
I'm doing good. How are y'all?
We're wonderful. Thank you so much for being here.
So first off, I know that had to be really hard to set boundaries with your son, but like people should look at boundaries as like if you really love somebody, then you'll set boundaries because boundaries aren't like a punishment. Boundaries are really good for all relationships, for real. Because like with boundaries, we show people how to treat us. So I actually wrote a spoken word for my lesson if you guys would like to hear it. So it's called No Complacency, Learning to Love Myself. A person who stands strong within themselves will understand when to set boundaries with everyone else. They won't be someone's standby. They will value what preservation entails. When it comes to everyone, especially my own family, there are standards in treating me. Toxic is toxic, exceptions are complacency, in explaining to someone how they are treating me. No more being afraid of someone's reaction. I'm here to protect and love myself, not for another's satisfaction. So if they really love you, they won't argue about this. They will accept it, as they will have boundaries of their own. This is where real love is shown. Respect from both sides for each other's space. I love myself enough to not walk away when I need to explain and for them to listen. To feel cared for in this way, I have a different relationship with myself now. I feel safe and I have changed. I changed my support systems by the healthy environments that I created. I needed answers to my problems, so I meditated. Before I went within myself, I grew aggravated that I held no space for myself, for this is what I created. In the past, I held no space. Where was the commitment? When that shift happened into higher consciousness, that sparked the existence of an inner strength that I was missing. It's honestly a form of self-harm when my higher self speaks and I don't listen. Steady unlearning the voices that come from my childhood that tell me I have no voice. But I can speak anytime I'm in justice. So why are people so scared to touch this? Because when we were little children, some of us were treated like nothing. There's a huge shift happening now, and we will rise above this.
Wow. That's amazing. You're a very talented writer.
I actually woke up and wrote that this morning.
Like just wow.
Yeah. I was feeling really moved because like before this, so like a few days, like 3 or 4 days ago, I was in West Virginia like recording music because I do music, and I spent a lot of time in nature, and I've been feeling really creative, like, and I've just been doing a lot of self work. So So this that I was already speaking on, like this was something that was already going on in my mind. This is something that I've been living for the past few like years now. Like problems with setting boundaries, because the moment you stop setting boundaries with people, like when you, even in new relationships, like um sometimes it sounds really like messed up, but sometimes the way people treat us really is our fault. It's our fault sometimes.
Yeah. That was a hard pill
And
for me to swallow.
yes, we got to take accountability, not only for how we allow people to treat us, but for how we allow ourselves to treat ourselves, because people are only we're only leading by example for how to treat us, you know? So I had to learn that, and that's really hard. But I just want to tell you, like, hey, I'm proud of you for setting boundaries, and we're just growing and learning and reparenting ourselves.
Yeah. It's if you ever stop learning, you're not living. Like there's stuff to learn all the time. And the older I get and the more I learn, the more I realize I don't know very much at all. Like growing up, you think we have all the answers and we know everything, right? And man, the older you get, the more you're like, wow, I don't know anything.
Yeah, I had no clue when I was younger. Like, it blows my mind now. I'm like, dang, that's wild.
Yeah. I wish I knew back when more so about the boundaries and stuff. I guess I never pushed boundaries with my family. I guess I was just always sort of respectful and I just followed the rules for the most part. But with my son, he was very much a rule breaker and a pusher of the boundaries, and I didn't know how to set them. So for a really long time, he did walk all over me, and he didn't treat me very well. So having to set those boundaries was a must because I didn't like how he would talk to me and he would belittle me and he would cuss at me, and I'm like, we're not doing this. And I went 3 weeks I didn't talk to him before he finally talked to me.
Yeah. That can be, it's honestly the toughest with the family, because a lot of us have been through cycles of this, you know what I mean, of not having a healthy family dynamic. So it's really hard for us to step out and be different and think differently and act differently, but we're getting there. So
Yeah.
proud of us.
Right, right. So what do you think? Do you remember like the first time you realized you had to set a boundary and what it was like to accomplish setting that boundary?
Yeah, probably with my brother. That's probably been the hardest boundaries that I've had to set, is with my brother, because we picked up a lot of really unhealthy habits and ways to cope, and just the dynamic between people when interacting and setting boundaries. So we were never taught any of that, and our mom was really unhealthy about that too. She never respected any of our boundaries, you know what I mean? So it made me feel like I was wrong for asking people to respect my boundaries. And that's what I meant by, like, in my childhood, I was made to feel like I had no voice, because, and in adulthood, after you're made to feel like that, it makes you feel guilty kind of to set boundaries. Like, I started feeling guilty when I first did that shit, because in a way, like, I dealt with kind of like narcissistic behavior of, like, whenever I want to set a boundary or say, hey, this hurt me, they gaslight me and make me feel like I don't have a right to feel like that.
Yeah,
But we do. And you got to stand up and stand your ground,
I think
no matter how uncomfortable it feels. That's the hardest part, is pushing through the uncomfortable of how it makes other people feel,
right.
because they ain't going to feel good about you setting that boundary.
Right. They're definitely not going to like the boundary being set, but in time it does get better or you learn to walk away if they don't respect you because
Exactly.
it is so important that you put yourself in front of their feelings because their feelings it yes, you want your friends to, respect you and stuff, but at the end of the day, if they're not respecting your boundaries, there's really nothing there to go off of. You know what I mean? So
They really love you, they gonna respect it.
yeah, exactly. Exactly. Um, so I guess reflecting before you set boundaries to now, how do you feel overall? Like, do you?
I just feel better about myself as a whole because I'm not accepting certain behaviors that I was before. Because those are certain types of behaviors that make you feel bad about yourself. You know what I mean? Like when you let those types of things go, like your higher self feels that. Like it's almost like I said, it's almost like a form of self harm. You're not protecting yourself. So, how can you feel like safe within yourself and have a strong sense of self if you're like,
Yeah, that's
talking
great,
about
great advice. What do you think was your biggest like motivation behind like really making you set those boundaries? What do you think it was that like kept you serious in this?
I just really, first of all, I wanted to have a more healthy relationship with my brother. And I also like find myself in like relationships that I guess I'm carrying that trauma into those relationships where I feel like I can't speak on what I want and what I need. And most of those are usually like boundaries for certain things. So, like, when we don't speak about those things in relationships, we kind of grow a resentment. You know what I mean? So, like, I was just having a lot of dysfunctional relationships because of it. Like, boundaries can definitely make or break your relationships because when you're not setting boundaries, people only have so much respect for you. They grow to not have respect for you because they see you not respecting yourself. How are they going to respect you? They know they can get away with it.
That one hits kind of hard. Did you see that? My brain processing that one. Yeah, that wow. That one hits hard. So how can you expect them to respect you if you don't respect yourself? Wow.
You, like I said, you lead by example. They see how you're treating yourself. They're like, oh, well, this person lets me do whatever I want to them, so I'm going to do it.
Oh, that's crazy. Like it for the longest time, I never really seen it into like that. Like I never looked at it from that point of view. I don't know. I guess I've just always respected people. I've never been the type to take advantage of, I guess. I
Yeah,
don't
like Solo said, it ends up feeling empty because you start feeling a way towards yourself because you're like, damn, I'm literally allowing this to like when you become self-aware and when you like are like, hey, I'm actually the problem. It's me.
yeah.
You got to look at why people are treating you like that. There's a reason to everything. So
There is. There
I
really
start looking inward.
yeah. Wow. So is this a newer thing for you, or have you been practicing setting the boundaries for a while now,
Been
or
practicing for a few years, and Solo, not all of us are trying to fill a void. Some of us are trying to fill whole. Fuck filling a void. My bad.
look, that's okay. Yeah, I think a lot of it for me is just I'm finding myself. I lost myself in a lot of ways because I didn't set the boundaries. So I lost myself, and it's not been until the last few years where I started to like do that self-love stuff and really respect myself, and like the boundary talk is pretty new. Like I said, I my first boundary I set with my son just maybe 6 months ago, and that was hard. But it paid off, and he respects me more now and I respect him more now, and the relationship has gotten stronger. So I'm thankful for that. But
Did your parents ever set boundaries? Because my parents never even talked to me about boundaries. To
they
be real
never
with you,
They never really talked about it. Like I said, I didn't really. I was sit down, be quiet, you're too loud, blah blah. So I kind of just sat there and I did what I did. And when I got to the age where I could work, I went to school and I worked as much as I could to not be home. So I was never taught. I can't say that they didn't set boundaries. I'd say that we had rules and expectations, but they never explained it. Never sat me down and said, you know what, if this is how you feel, this is what you need to do.
And when were our boundaries ever respected? Never. Our boundaries were never respected.
Yeah.
So, but
I think my grandfather, my papa, he respected my boundaries. He, if anybody, taught me a little bit, but I'd say more about on a work scale versus an intimate or a family scale. Um, but he definitely taught me how to work and how to push myself
hell
um,
yeah.
and stuff like that. And I think that there's certain boundaries that are set when you work that hard and like I had my own business, so I had to set boundaries for that. And that was no problem to set boundaries for my employees. This is what I expect. This is what's going to happen, or I don't need you. Like that was easy. I had no problem doing that. But when it comes to like talking to my kid,
Personal,
stuff.
yeah. It's harder when it's personal, dude. When it's more personal, it's different.
Yeah, it's
You're
personal.
just thinking about how that person's gonna feel, and we gotta stop doing that.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, you should care about how people feel. That's not what I mean, but like, we should care how we feel.
Right. If they're not going to respect our boundaries, then why are we overly concerned with how they feel about it? Yeah.
Because they're not concerned.
No.
Exactly.
So if you guys are just tuning in, this is Wavy Spice, and she's talking about setting boundaries for yourself. She wrote an amazing piece that she read to us earlier.
Which
She's
is
an
going to
amazing
be
artist.
out. Like, I'm doing actually a spoken word album and a music album in the end of fall. Two singles out right now on all the platforms. It's the name, just like how you see it right there.
I'll have to check it out. I'll have to check it out. Are you on YouTube? Is that where
Yeah,
we can find
YouTube, Apple Music, Spotify.
it? Okay, okay. And so when do you stream? What can we find in your stream? Tell us a little bit about you before we let you go.
Um, I do Wavy Wednesdays. It's not a set time, so I usually do it like one or two, sometimes even three streams throughout the day. Sometimes, okay, so sometimes between the morning and the afternoons, sometimes I do like stretching and setting an intention for the day. So sometimes, like, I would like to get more into that and get people more involved. Because the other day we had like a whole, like, people were boxed up and we were like working out together. So I'm just like pushing positivity. And also, like, if you don't catch me like singing or doing something creative, I'm definitely like talking about spiritual, physical, and mental well being on my streams. So just be looking for more of that because that's where my passion is.
Awesome, awesome. So, do you have IG? Can they find you on there?
Yep, it's just how the name is right there. Wavy Spice 01 2 V's.
All right, you guys. All right. You guys make sure you hit wavy with the favorite. If
Thank you
you're tuning
guys.
in, again, I'm Silly Lilly. This is Wavy Spice, and you're watching Lessons Learned. We just talked about boundaries and loving yourself enough to make sure that you follow through and stick to them.
Thanks for having me for real.
Thank you for being
Appreciate
here
it.
so much. I'm so glad that you reached out. I will see you soon. Thank you. Thank you. Chris, we're going to do a couple self-care, self-love questions and tips here, and then I will have you hop in the box. But I must say, as a reminder, this is a featured show, so I want to thank everybody for all the appreciate every single one of them. Also, remember, we are not professionals. We're simply, few folks who are here to tell you a lesson life has taught us and what we learned from it. Okay. Um, a little bit about self care. What did you do for yourself today? Let me ask you that. What have you guys done for yourself today? It's early. I grabbed my cup of coffee. I got ready for my show. T says I got out of bed. Miss Pumpkin said, "Ooh, sports. Nice, nice. I need to get back to moving around." Melissa says, "I do something for myself every single day." That is awesome. Beth says, "I got coffee, dessert. Ooh, ooh." NorCal says, "Just woke up, still in bed." Smiley says, "Had my coffee." Smurfy says, "Coffee in the and in the garden, and you journaled." Nice, Smiley. Krabby said, "Coffee seems to be like a favorite in this stream." James says, "I got up for work and I went." I said, "Doll baby." She got up and did her makeup and looked stunning as always. I creeped in there real quick this morning. Hi, everybody. Sarah, hello. You didn't even finish your makeup. I'm trying to keep up with the comments. Right, Melissa? If you don't take care of yourself, you can't enjoy the day. So on a serious note, I put on the 90s music. That was what I did for me today. I said, you know what? I need to just kind of rock out a little bit. Ooh, good breakfast, egg salad sandwich, and coffee from Mariella. Oh my God. Me time in the bath later. Nice. You got Curvy Ginger. Thank you for the fave. Okay, so a couple of self-care things that we can do here. One thing is drink water. How many of you know how much water you're supposed to drink a day? A lot. 60. Okay, so here's now for those of you in like the UK, I don't know how to do y'all's system, so we're just gonna stick with ounces. Okay, so I know that if you are, we're gonna keep these numbers easy. Okay, if you are a 200-pound person, you need to be drinking half of your body weight in fluid ounces, so 100 ounces. So if you weigh 150 pounds, you need to be drinking 75 ounces of water a day. I promise you, most of us, us, are not drinking enough water. And no, coffee and iced tea do not count as water. I don't care that it's mostly water. It's not the same. It doesn't count. Coffee does not count. It's a liquid though. No, it has to just be water, and preferably spring water. Try not to drink purified water, but that's for another show. Purified water is terrible for you. Okay, now here's one that if you were born in the 90s or later, you don't understand this. Have you ever watched a movie without your phone? Have you ever locked your phone up in another room and watched a movie without it? I have, but not since like 1999. Like, I've done it, not recently. I'm not even gonna lie. I'm not even gonna lie. Okay, here is another really good one. How many of you guys have tried a new hobby lately? What is something you guys it doesn't have to be crazy, but what is something you want to learn? Like you want to try baking, maybe finding time to read. Ooh, cool dude says drone flying, Smurf. Oh, are you in that pasta challenge? Oh my goodness. Y'all check out Kitty Commander. Go ahead, favorite her on IG. She has got some amazing events coming up, and one of them is that pasta challenge. Oh my gosh, I'm excited to see that. Axe catch it. What? Why? Well, wait. Excuse me, DJ Mark. Can this is self-care, self-love, not self-harm, sir? We need to throw, not catch the axes, please and thank you. Beth says crochet. Ooh, he tall Italian guy says he just picked up the guitar. I mean, I'm just throwing it out there, Mark. This is self-care, self-love tips, not self-harm. So we throw at boards, at targets that are designed to be thrown at. Ooh, Kim Possible says drawing. Nice, nice, nice. Okay. And Smurfy did some self-care, self-love today by writing in her journal, because I'll be darned if right here it doesn't say write a self-care journal. It's free. You only need paper and a pen. OMG. It's free to write, other than the paper and the pen, which if you really need paper and a pen, I will gladly send you some. Okay, I will personally send you paper and a pen if you really, really need it. All right, now this is the part where everybody just kind of starts to run, because this is where I actually ask you some questions. We're gonna do 2 of these, and then Chris Casper, are you ready? Where have I never been that I'm dying to go? Where have you never been that you want to go? James says Italy. Willow says Hawaii. I don't know how to say that. Mike knows. Hoya says Ireland. Daniel says UK. Bora Bora Smurfy. That's where I want to go too. Let's go, Smurfy. Let's go. Princess says Canada. Sable says playlist. I'm going to go next year. Oh, we got a third one for Bora Bora. Boop, let's go. Italy. Oh, fourth one. Let's go. Bora Bora it is. Hello. Krabby says playlist. You pay, right? This is a featured show. I can't say that. We'll talk about ways afterwards. Hello. Oh my God. You know, what's your favorite place that you have been to? I'm torn between California was gorgeous, but I still think that the Keys, Key West, Mallory Square at sunset, oh my God, was one of the most incredible moments of my life. Oh, and parasailing, that was phenomenal too. Okay, Chris Casper, are you ready? Because I'm going to ask this one question, and then I'm going to need you to get in the box. Who or what inspires you? Who or what inspires you? Smurfy says me. Oya says God. Jay says Kitty Commander and God. T. Oh, some brown on your nose, T. My grandmother and my grandfather definitely inspired me. I miss my grandfather so much. My papa was amazing. Solo says my parents, the amazing folks around me. Kirby says my cat. All right, you guys. All right, are you guys ready for Chris Casper? I was nervous all week, and now I feel like we got this. We're good. Chris is going to be talking about, you know what? I'll let him tell you. Chris, you ready? Here we go. You're coming in. Don't pick your nose or nothing.
Good day.
Hi.
Good morning. How's it going?
Thank you for coming to be on my show.
For sure. Yeah. Here we are.
Here we are. So just tell everybody what we're going to be talking about today.
So in order to learn a lesson, you have to reflect. So we'll be talking about self-reflection, some forgiveness, and yeah, I guess I'm going to use the word self-reflection again, but it's a self-reflection story. So there's that. Nice. So do we just take it away, or?
Yeah, if you just can go, I can come up with questions, however you want to do it. I kind of let the guests, most of them just jump into it.
Yeah, no, steer it along, but I'll steer myself, but you can, yeah, you definitely want to steer it. So, all right, so yeah, mine's about how I started on the platform, how I got started streaming myself. So back, we gotta go back. We're gonna go back to 2018. I had Meet Me on my phone. I downloaded it because I was at a friend's house and I had all the other swipey swipe apps, things like that. And I saw him on it and it looks different. It had like a different grid and kind of stuff like that. And I was like, oh, well, what's that? What are you on? He goes, oh, it's called Meet Me. And he goes, you can meet people locally around you and like network, you can date, you can do friends, like whatever you want. And I was like, oh, that's cool. So I just downloaded it, let it rot on my phone for a little bit. Time passed by. I had been working in a corporate sales job. I did IT recruitment as well. And while I was doing all that, I was just trying to build up my life to get out of the system that I was in, which was like very much like button up during the day, but live fast when I'm not at work. And that live fast prior to, I had a lot of difficulty letting go of it, of getting rid of those bad habits and things I just should not have been doing. Um, and so as I got into the corporate life and more things like that, I was like, I think I'm ready to finally have a place of my own, because I knew that I didn't want to rent. I have a really big thing about putting my money into non-tangible assets. So if I'm going to put my money into something and it's just like gone, I can't deal with it. So I lived with my grandparents until I was 26. I bought my house when I was 26. That's where I am now. And when I bought it, I had also taken a promotion at work around that time. And a lot was just bottling up for me. So much to the point where, well, later we'll get to it. But should I slow down right now, or do you have any pride, any things before I keep plowing forward?
You're doing good. You're doing good.
All right, because I will run this conversation to the ground. So I gotta make sure I pause. Um, so yeah, I was doing the swipey swipe apps, like I mentioned, throughout all that, and I had met someone. It was leading into the summer of 2018, and we lived like about maybe 5 miles away. It was like not far at all. And she and I had like tons of things in common. It was crazy. And it was going really well. We were exclusive, that kind of thing, but there was never like a title on it. And to make a very long story short, because this is not the main focus of it, even though it is the main focus, um, we had uh, we had gotten really close, but I constantly felt like I was coming second, or that I really wasn't a priority. I was more of just a convenience. So like even though we lived only 5 miles away or something like that, in the time of us seeing each other, there were times where we wouldn't see each other for like a month, and this was over the course of like 6 months, 4 to 6 months, something like that. So there was these really large gaps in time, even though we weren't seeing each other. So I would like make plans too. This was the other thing, that where I'd make plans and they would get canceled or ghosted on, and I was really teaching her how to treat me, is what I realized later. So that's going to be the first thing that I'm going to plug, is that when it comes to like lessons learned and the things that we do, many times we blame ourselves, or we blame other people for the things that are happening. This is my own experience. This is not advice, okay? But in my experience, I've seen that in the past I had blamed other people for things where they had already shown me and taught me how they would react and respond and carry through it. So after enough times of making plans with this person, for them to follow through and be consistent in the behavior of potentially ghosting, well, I had to hold myself accountable for that, because they had already shown me that. And yet I let those plans go through, and I decided to let that hurt me when those plans didn't go through. Um, I also just did some very dumb things as far as like trying to demonstrate value, where it was not, I think, the love language that was needed or reciprocated. So like she had this perfume that I remember this story specifically because I was so taken back by the reaction. And this was another learning experience for me. Welcome to Lessons Learned. So she had this perfume, and she had just like a tester bottle. And I was like, oh, why are you like, she was like really like trying to get like the last little slivers of whatever remnants was in that cologne. or perfume. And I was like, you know, what's going on with that? And she was like, oh, she's like, this stuff's really expensive. She's like, you know how much a bottle this goes for? And I was like, no. And then it's like, I can't imagine. Like in my head, I was like, I can't imagine it's like that much. Like enough that like if you like it enough to like grind it on your skin, that you're not just gonna get a bottle of it. So what I did is I ordered a bottle. I got a bottle on Amazon as like a surprise for her. So I came and picked her up one time, because we were gonna go out, and I gave her the bottle of perfume. And instead of it being this happy reaction, she was offended. She was really taken back by it. And it was not a demonstration for her of like acts of giving, or like service, things like that. For her, it was an offensive situation because she interpreted it as that she needed to be taken care of and that she couldn't provide that for herself, something that she liked, so that I had to go and do it. And she felt like I was trying to I guess in a way step on her ability to be independent, right? And so I learned that about that person. I learned that the way I receive and feel like my partner may care for me is not necessarily the way it does for her. And it's not up to me to decide what is and is not right for her. So I learned that, and I had to take a step back, but it was also very difficult for me because that's one of the ways that I know, like to be mindful of someone in that way. So fast forward, you want to do a show plug? Okay, let's keep talking.
Tuning in. Welcome to Lessons Learned. This is Chris Casper, and we are talking about self-reflection right now, and I guess just processing lots of lessons. There's been a few already.
Oh. So yeah, so going forward with the story. So this was again 2018, and it all reached the head eventually. So I was at work, and it had been again like a couple weeks, maybe a month since we last seen each other. Because even though we saw each other for like 4 or 6 months, it was like a ton of hanging out in the beginning. Very much understanding like, okay, this is reciprocated. And like looking back, I just realized that I was a chump. Like I was almost like a pick me boy, or like a simp in a way, because I would come over and like walk her dog while she played video games. Or like I would pick her up from work and she would be like, yeah, but I'm really tired today, and just like disappear. But like just having that moment of like, oh, I'm gonna get to pick you up from work and like spend some time with you, that was like rewarding to me. And I look back and like, why would I teach someone that that's an okay way to treat me? Like, why would I teach someone that that's where I value my time and like what I bring, and that that the minimum that I allow for them to give me, that just them being present for me to do something for them is enough of a reward for me. Like, and I look back and I almost cringe that that is something that I allowed for myself. So fast forward, still doing the job thing, all that kind of stuff. And it had been like a couple weeks or months since I had last seen her. And I said to her, hey, definitely like should schedule something, like let's go do dinner or something. She's like, yeah, absolutely, I'd love to. She's like, the only thing is that we'd have to do it in the morning because I've got to do it around my streams. That's the other part I left out. So in the midst of me meeting this person, remember, this is pre me existing as a streamer. She had this goal of being Twitch famous and Instagram famous. She wanted to be an Instagram model and use her following for that to help grow as a Twitch streamer. And that was like kind of a foreign idea to me at the time. I understood being like a Twitch streamer and the thing, but the whole idea of like how streaming would work and how someone could be successful, it was a very foreign idea to me. I was a sales guy in the tech world. And so after she said that, she was like, yeah, maybe we could do breakfast because I have to do my streams. We'll have to plan around my stream. That like just like hit really hard because I knew that the interest in me would come secondary to her interest in streaming. Now I know in retrospect, what she was doing was prioritizing what she cared about the most, which is not a wrong thing to do. You don't have to be ready for a relationship, in my opinion. In my opinion, you don't owe someone, just because someone is choosing to invest in you does not mean that you have to reciprocate the same investment, especially if you recognize that in some way they're not good for you. So you don't owe someone that, in my opinion. And that's what she was doing to me. She did not feel, which is fine, and I respect it in retrospect, that I was an addition to her life that was a positive and welcome and would help her grow in the path that was important to her at that point. If anything, I would have been a detractor because I would have been a relationship. We all know what relationships are like for streamers and people are trying to promote themselves. So I sent her a message back after she said that, where I said, sounds like you and I are kind of on two different paths right now. Do you feel like right now we're just at the wrong point and we need to take our separate ways? Or would you like to sit down and talk more about how we could get more on the same page? And I like just flat out gave her that outright thought. This was over a text message. It's non-confrontational, everything. She takes the bait. Boom, right away. I'm sitting there, I'll never forget the moment. Sitting at work, I had just scheduled some meetings and stuff. We're chilling there, posting, came back from the gym. And she's like, yeah, I really do feel like right now is not the right time. I have specific goals and I don't think that I can give the energy to a relationship that would be fair. And like super fair response, right? Like that is the right response. So she gave that, gave that to me, and I internalized it, and I just felt crushed. I was like, what I had done is I had allowed the situation to become, I think, a personal reflection for me of my own worth. That depending on if this person would accept me or if this person would want to invest in me, that I had done the right job, that I had done the job of convincing them and myself that time with me is worth it. I know in retrospect that that's not true. But here comes the kind of the point of the whole story. So remember that whole meet me thing that I had on my phone? Well, I had remembered that a few months back they had included the live feature, this back in 2018. And live was super new. There were no diamonds or anything like that going on. And I'd gone live once in the no diamonds days. And I came back, so I came back from work and I was seething. I was like, I got picked second to the stream thing after all this like investment and like, we could have been great and blah, 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 and whatever. I was like, you know what I'm gonna do? I don't think I can play video games very well, so I'm not gonna do this Twitch thing. But I think I can do interpersonal communication well. I'm gonna try that meet me thing and I'm gonna beat her at her own game. And so that day was September 20th, 2018. And I went live. That was my first live to being a consistent streamer. Haven't stopped since. And that is the story of how I started streaming. But that's not the point of the story today. The point is, probably do the plug. and then I'll tell the point of the story. So cliffhanger.
So if you're just tuning in, this is Chris Casper. I'm Silly Lily. You're watching Lessons Learned, and we are talking about self-reflection at the moment.
So I want to put yourself in my shoes of 2018, Chris, starting streaming, felt like trash, was picked second to the streaming thing. I also forgot to mention that in that summer too, I had gotten diagnosed with hereditary depression. I was diagnosed with depression and anxiety, and I had started different medications at the time. So it was like just a very big transitional time for me. I'm no longer in that situation. That's a different non-featured topic. But anyway, the point is just to give insight of where I was at the time. Was very anxious, very, and again, I don't blame this person probably for not wanting to invest in me at the time, but it all just was coming to a head with that. So the idea here is I was resentful, I was angry, I was vengeful. I wanted to make that person feel bad. I wanted to make them feel like, wow, if only I had invested in that person, something good could have happened. But instead, I knew that that wasn't going to be the option. So I was like, I'm going to spite. There's this book that I read, and it's called, I want to say it's The Compound Effect. But there's a really interesting take in the book that says that many times people feel that in order to motivate themselves, it has to be out of nobility. However, some of the most powerful motivations are things that are considered unnoble. So, like, for example, if you got cheated on and that relationship ended and they cheated on you with like a fitter person or something like that, and you use that as your motivation to get into shape, well, you could call it a revenge bot or a I'll show you bot or whatever. But like, does that mean it was a bad thing to do? And so like the book kind of challenges that concept of like, oh, getting in shape is because it's going to be better for your health and you're going to have better mental health and physical health and develop a routine and all these like tropes that are positive. However, like I can tell you from my own personal experience, the best shape I've ever been in my life has always been motivated out of spite and anger. And so like the book explores that stuff. So I applied that same mentality to this streaming thing, right? I was like, I'm so rage filled, I'm so spiteful at this person who decided that they wanted to be a streamer instead of investing in a relationship together, that I'm going to beat them at their own game. Well, the lesson learned here is, and to fast forward, is that I have not talked to her since that day. The day that there was that text. I can't tell you the amount of times I fantasized about I was going to add her back on Instagram and she was going to see that I had more followers than her. It sounds so stupid and pathetic to say that out loud, right? It does. I'm ashamed of that. But I realized that as I grew through it, there was nothing to gain from trying to kick someone who's down. And she wasn't able to really take her streaming too far, and it didn't really pan out for her. And I know it's just because she wasn't consistent. That's all it really was. It wasn't because she lacked talent or whatever. But I realized that was not going to give me fulfillment. To go back to that, something that I had already buried and said, you know what, this is a lesson learned of how to not necessarily walk through the beginning stages of a relationship and not to internalize how other people communicate and things like that. So yeah, that was basically my lesson learned, was that the motivations, the motivation to do something may start out as something that you're not proud of, but it doesn't mean that you don't have tomorrow and that you can't make it better. And I'm so thankful for that experience, because had that not happened, there would be no me here doing this. And I feel like I've been able to positively affect my life and help other people along the way. And there's nothing more rewarding than that. So that is my lesson learned, Lily, for this episode.
That was awesome. See, you want to hear how I started streaming? It was totally accidental. I had no intentions. I didn't even know what it was when I clicked on it. I have bearded dragons, and one jumped off my shoulder and made me hit the little heart I streamed through the POF. And I ended up in someone's live stream, and the next day I decided I was going to try it myself, and I've never looked back. And I want to thank you for helping me get this show going. It's been amazing, and I love doing it every week. So thank you for that. No, you've definitely helped me and a lot of people by helping me get this going. So
Appreciate it.
So tell us about your shows. Tell us when we can find you and everything.
Yeah, so you can catch tonight, or not tonight, today at 3 p.m. The Rundown, which is our weekly app update and announcement show, where we're going to go over all things trending. I can tell you, I'll do a little spoiler alert. We got a lot of top badges today. There's a lot of top badges, so you don't want to miss it. There's going to be, just when you think it's over, it's not going to be over. So there's a lot of stuff. You know what? I normally don't do reactive content because, but MB has a question. So what's the lesson learned? Like, what would I do if I had to do it all over again? That's, I think, part of the lesson is that I wouldn't do it differently. And I think a lot of times where we self-reflect and we go through things, we go, wow, I feel some shame or I feel pride or whatever the emotion is. But I understand that what I'm doing today and how I internalize certain things, the way I had to learn it was to go through it. I had to put my hand on the stove and I had to, it's good, it's healthy that I reflect and I go, that was poor behavior, because I'm able to identify and recognize why. And I guess if I really had to boil it down to like, what is the lesson there? It's that it's okay to be wrong. It's okay to understand that you're changing, and it's okay to change. I have a couple mantras. One of them is, I reserve the right to change my mind provided new information is given. So that's like a really fancy way of saying, I have my opinions. Here's another way to say it: strong opinions loosely held. So that means that you can feel strongly about something, but not so strongly that you can't let go of it. And there's certain degrees of that.
Yeah.
But those are the lessons learned for me. So I had my feelings on the situations, that situation specifically, and I felt so strongly about it. But by just living life, reflecting on it, thinking about what had gone on, my opinion is different about it. I don't see her as a bad guy in that situation whatsoever. I see her as a person who, just like all of you, has specific goals, and I just was not part of that story for her at the time, and that's okay. I don't have to be. I don't. Oh, she doesn't owe me that, and I wasn't owed it. But yeah. So shows. So the rundown, you can catch that today, and then Wednesdays at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every week. You can catch Suited Up. I think it's still my profile picture. I need to change that. If you are interested in learning about more of that stuff, you can click me right here and add me on Instagram. That's a great way to keep in touch with me. That's what I've got, Lily.
Right. I again thank you so much for being here. I never actually thought you'd be on the show, so I'm very, very honored to have you here. And again, thank you for helping me get this show up and going, and just being here and sharing your life lesson. Today was
Yeah,
great.
you did it, so I appreciate you. So thank you. I'll see y'all later. Take care, everyone. See you at 3. Bye.
Oh, I am not gonna lie, y'all. I have been freaking out all week over that. Okay, hello. But I knew it's gonna be amazing. Chris is amazing, you guys. Wavy was amazing. I'm like, I can breathe. Thank you, Chris. It's like, one of the questions, who do you look up to? And it's like, I look up to a lot of the top badges and the people who are actually doing things on this app, but y'all still make me nervous. You make my heart beat fast and I get a little dizzy, and I don't know. It's like, I don't know, running into famous people, like you're meeting me famous, right? Hi, Divine. Oh, thank you, babe. All right, let's do it, you guys. If you're just tuning in, I am Silly Lily, and you missed Wavy Spice and Chris Casper, and it was both of them were setting boundaries, self-reflection. Like, my brain is so, Wavy made me go, maybe they treated you that way because you didn't set the boundaries. And although I've been setting boundaries, I never stopped and processed my relationships off of that. So I'm not even gonna lie, my brain's gonna be thinking all day, thanks, Wavy. But also really thank you, because that was a huge realization in that moment. And I don't, if you guys watched her say that and you watched my eyes, if you know me, you know that was me processing it and going, holy shit, because but to hear someone say it out loud and to process it, I really do. This show really helps me a lot with that. So my Q&Q for today, and I think it kind of fits. I think this kind of fits. Okay, so I'm going to read the quote, read the quote, ask the question, but we do not answer this until next Friday. We're here every Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Next week, I'm going to have 2 amazing guests with 2 whole new amazing messages. Every week is great. You guys, again, thank you for all the favorites. Thank you for all the gifts. I want to run through here really fast. I want to thank Chris, Casper, NorCal, Scantron, Smurfy, Krabby, Lone Wolf, Panda, Little Bit, Princess, Mikey, Solo, Lamar, Marie, Lucky, Boopty, Divine, Mr. D&G, Quinn, Miss Poison, Daniel, Dev, Kitty, Ahmed, Mariella, Sassy, I can't read your name, I apologize, Joy, Ray, Solo, Min, Camilla, Miss Pumpkin, and Boyfriend, all for participating and being in and watching my show today. Now, are we ready? Again, don't answer this till next week. It says, you must know where to find yourself. You must know where to find yourself. Where do you feel most like yourself? Shh. Don't answer it. I'm going to do it one more time. Don't answer it. Don't do it. Don't do it. But it says, you must know where to find yourself. Where do you feel most like yourself? Okay. All right, you guys. That being said, again, thank you everybody so much for being here. Today's show was amazing. I hope you tune in next Friday, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I love doing this show every week. Like I said, it's something different, something new, different guests, different vibes. And it just, oh, I love doing this. I love it. I love it. I love it. So you guys, if you're interested in being on the show and you have a lesson that you would like to share with us, please reach out to myself or witgh on IG. You can find my IG. If you click on my name up top, scroll down, IG's on there. And I do believe witgh has his attached to his account as well. If you guys are looking for a little bit of entertainment tomorrow, I am hosting a battle. It is a shoot for the moon battle. It is a one and done unless you're the top 2 gifters, and then you'll compete on Sunday evening. I hope you can come check it out. We have a whole lot of fun doing these battles, and I host auctions as well. I believe next Friday, if you're a newer streamer and you're looking to be a part of a group who has lots of fun and can give advice, and it's through IG, it's a chat. Let me know, reach out to me, and I'll tell you what to do. We have so much fun in this group. It's not even funny. Okay. So House of Honeys and the House of Hunks is what that's called. And let's see, what am I missing, guys? What am I missing? Quinn, are you still here? Really quick. I don't normally do this on the featured show, but I'm going to take just 5 seconds. And we're just all with special intentions right now. Can we all say a little prayer with special intentions, please? I'm going to take advantage of this moment. Okay, really quick. Everybody just put your heads down and pray to special intentions and send hugs and best wishes, please, and thank you. Amen. That's all. That's all I have to do. Just say a little prayer. Somebody that we know really needs them right now, okay? All right, guys. Like I said, that's not normally something I do, but seeing that there's so many of you, and I do believe in the power of prayer. So that being said, you guys, remember, I love you, I believe in you, and never, ever, ever give up on your dreams. And I'll see you guys next Friday at 10 a.m., okay? Mwah. Bye, guys.